Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. We're on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, KLUP. Also on podcasts everywhere, Facebook Live, YouTube, and talklawradio.com. Today we're talking to Carlos Garcia about his life and how he got to where he is today. And I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you, Todd.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I really didn't come up with a good summary for the show. That's why I'm just getting right into it, just to start talking about your life, because it's really your life that I'm interested in talking about.
I appreciate that. Yes, so my name is Carlos Garcia. I'm a life insurance agent here in San Antonio. I'm independent, so I'm able to work with a ton of different carriers. So we're able to come up with different plans specifically for each client's needs. In the past, I was a truck driver. We've talked about it. I've had my own...
Let's go way back.
Okay.
Tell us, where did you grow up?
I grew up here in San Antonio on the southwest side, over by the Valley High area. I went to Southwest High School, graduated in 2002. And
what kind of neighborhood was that?
So I grew up in between two fairly bad neighborhoods. One is off of Old Pearsall Road. That's a tough area, and we ended up moving here and there from in that same area. It taught me a lot in growing up there because we don't have the same kind of resources that people have in other areas of town, and that's one thing. That's the reason why I ended up wanting to getting into the financial industry, is because nobody goes out there and helps people out that are in that area. So I wanted to try to change that trend. I wanted to be a resource for people out there in that area.
You're an entrepreneur. Tell us about your first experience with work.
So, like I said, I was a truck driver. That's my truck driver. That's my profession by trade. And I started a company a few years back during COVID, and we put it in the oil field. It's been, rates have been going up and down, but it's been an experience so far. And there's a lot of things that I had to learn on my own because, we don't have, like I said, we don't have resources to teach us about business, about taxes, how to make sure that we utilize our taxes properly. So.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned the rates. What do you mean by that?
So, being a trucking company owner, you have to bid on your own jobs. So, someone can come in and underbid the rates that you currently are running under. So it all depends on how the market is. Whenever it's cold, sometimes, they don't need as much product anymore. Whenever I had my trucks in the oil field, so sometimes it would slow down in the oil field. They wouldn't need as many trucks out there. So, we would have to wait around, or sometimes jobs get canceled and then you don't have work. So you have to be able to adjust. And when the rates when they lose jobs, well, then the rates are going to go down because they don't need as many drivers anymore. And
what kind of stuff did you transport?
So I had to work with what the market was giving us. So at first I was in the oil field. I was hauling sand in the oil field, and then the rates went down. I ended up buying a dry van, so I was moving stuff. I was moving products for Walmart, for Home Depot. Clay pottery out of Laredo. I would go all over Texas. I didn't want to be gone too long, so 1 night, 2 nights a week would be typical for me to stay out. And then the rates dropped on there. Diesel prices went through the roof, so I got back in the oil field, and it kept us busy for a while.
You did some other things in the oil field too. Talk about that.
Yes, so I've been in the oil field for most of my trucking experience, and I got an opportunity in 2012, 2013 to move out to West Texas and become an operations manager. I went out there and I managed it's a company that moves the equipment for the oil field companies, and we would move frac pumps, cement slides, everything in the oil field. So what we would do is the oil field companies that were doing the fracking, they would give us a call and they would say, hey, I need 15 pieces of equipment moved. From there, then I figure out, how many how many drivers we're going to need and what we're going to need in order, so that way we can get the job done and effectively, so that way we don't take up a lot of time. And then from there, we will go do the job, and then we'll have another job coming up after that. And then after that, I was able to move into the safety aspect of the oil field. The owners of that company decided not to keep the company anymore, so I had to look for something else, and I found a job out there doing safety. So.
And what did you do exactly to keep everyone safe?
Well, I had to know the rules. I had to know the regulations, the new regulations that were coming through. I had to, there's in trucking, it's always operations versus safety. Because safety wants to find every way to do the job safely. If the truck is in good standing order, the driver's in good standing order, then the job could proceed. But if their equipment isn't in good standing order, then it's the safety's job to stop the job and make sure that it gets fixed beforehand. But operations wants to get the job done right now.
Right.
So I had to learn both aspects, and that was the tough part. Is we have to move the equipment so that way the company can make money. And if we don't move the equipment, then we're standing still and somebody's going to get blamed. And if it's the safety guy, well, we need to make sure that we're safe out there. So that way DOT, the Department of Transportation, doesn't stop us and we get citations. So.
And was all this learned by on-the-job training?
A lot of it was on-the-job training. A lot of it, the other part of it, I had to do my own research, do my own work, and, read the rules and regulations books and really hone in on it and try to learn from other safety people also. So I would contact the Department of Transportation and have some of the troopers go out and do a DOT inspection on some of the trucks and have like little classes, and they would teach, all the drivers the rights and wrongs. Mm-hmm.
You learn from the regulators themselves.
Exactly.
Okay. And when you were in high school, is this something that you thought you would get into?
No, never. So when I was in high school, the life insurance and financial aspect, yes. When I was in high school, it's always been a dream of mine to work in an office, dress up in a suit, and I've always been a numbers cruncher person. I was really good in math. Some classmates and I would have a competition, see who would get higher grades, and we would do extra credits so that way we could, get the highest grades. And so I've always been into numbers, and it's my bread and butter. Been doing the trucking part. No, that was.
How did you get into the trucking?
So I was working at the Budweiser warehouse here in San Antonio, and you have to get your CDL. So I got my CDL, and it just wasn't what I wanted to be doing in the warehouse. And then I didn't want to be out there, moving all the cases, 1,000 cases per truck. I didn't want to do all that. So I did some research, and it was good at the time. It was in 2006. Making money as a truck driver was good at the time. So we ended up taking that route.
You went to a specific truck driving school?
Yes, it was Roadmasters.
And got certified?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you told me that you drove in almost every state except North Dakota.
North Dakota, yeah, that's the only state that from the contiguous states. Yes, I never drove to Alaska, and it's kind of hard to drive to Hawaii from here. So,
yeah. So, what was that like driving around the country? Was that before your kids were born?
Yes, it was before my kids were born. That was in 2006. I got off the road in 2007. It was an experience seeing, all the different scenery. I've driven through the mountains, when it snowed and there's ice on the highways, and they shut down the highways in the mountains. I've seen the Statue of Liberty. I've seen everything.
I'm glad you mentioned ice on the highways, because I wanted to ask you about the Ice Road movie.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that after the break. Stay tuned.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the Ten Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.